Yes, I have several musical influences, and it's funny because they're not necessarily in the sort of creative musical lane that I kind of have put myself in, but I really love Frank Sinatra. I love the Beach Boys, and I fell in love with the Beach Boys' falsettos and their harmonies. And that always struck a nerve to my ear, and I was always kind of in love with that. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like a man's voice singing a very high part. It always seemed super vulnerable for me to sing really high. And so that got me, and it's not like I tried to sing falsetto. That's kind of how my vocal box and my body was built, to kind of sing a little bit on the higher side. It's so cool to kind of put in those elements and those harmonies. And when I'm recording and when I'm kind of mixing my vocals, I love to stack vocals, and I love to like pan harmonies a certain way and have multiple stacks of harmonies. I would say Justin Timberlake is a huge inspiration. And not only on the music level. I look up to Justin a lot because he is an entrepreneur. He is a businessman. He is an actor. And to be able to see him do film projects and, you know, do other things beyond music is inspiring to me, because I feel like now in this emerging world, you don't have to be one-dimensional. I don't have to sit here and tell you that I am just an artist and I'm just sitting here talking to you as an artist. It's like, no, I've helped start a company. I am an entrepreneur. Like, I have acting credits on IMDb. I've been acting since 2010 when I did my first film role. I feel like it's just in a really cool space, and I aspire to be those artists who have been multidimensional in multiple different creative spaces. So beyond being an artist, which a lot of people may not know, is I've kind of been in the tech space, in the entrepreneur space, and I'm also an actor. It's great because I can kind of see roles that come to me that are an audition or maybe a self-tape, and I can kind of determine like if I really resonate with this character. I'm not the type of person who wants to go out for every single opportunity, because there's a potential that even if I do get the role, I don't really relate to it. Like, I feel like I gotta be the right age. I gotta have a similar mentality as this character. And the first role that I ever booked, and it was when I was living in Florida, and it was in the movie I'm Number 4, and it was just such a blessing because the first ever acting role that I got was in a feature film, you know, DreamWorks film, directed by DJ Caruso, who did Eagle Eye, and who did the movie Disturbia. And it was an honor to get to work with him and kind of be on a set, and it's something that I was thrown into. I was put on a $60 million movie set, and that's when the bug bit me. Like, I had been bitten by the entertainment acting bug when I was a kid and I was doing like a plays in church, but when I was on that set, that's when I was like, I want to do this, and I want to do it more. I was also in a Hulu series called Dimension 404, where I had to play this kind of weird, evil bad guy. And you know what's funny? And I realized this a few years ago after doing so many of these roles, but I've always played the bad guy. I've always been the antagonist in like every role that I've done. I've always been like the bad boyfriend. I was the jerk friend in I'm Number 4. You know, it's like, I feel like I don't come off that way. I feel like, I mean, everybody's gonna tell you they're a nice guy, and you feel like a nice guy, but it's funny that I have been booking roles consistently that have been these kind of antagonist, bad guy, jerk characters. But you know what, as long as I can work and channel a character potentially that maybe like I would feel out of my comfort zone to do, I'm happy to do it, you know? So from the entrepreneurial side, I helped 2 guys start a company called Niche back in 2013, which if you look back, you can look back at the history, it was the first digital-focused branding agency, and it also was a tech company because it involved taking creators' data from their followers and their engagement and finding out where these fans were. Before there were data capturing companies that sort of could tell you like where your fans live and like what are their ages. Like, our company was doing that in the very beginning, and I was instrumental. So I was the creative director of Niche, and the company was independently, you know, run. And then in 2015, it was sold to Twitter, and it was absorbed by Twitter, and it is now a Twitter company. And I came to a crossroads in 2014 where I was pretty much given the choice, like, look, you've been working remote for the company for a while. You need to either move to New York and work here in the offices, or, you know, you need to decide if you want to pursue like what you're doing, kind of a more creative career. And it was a tough decision for me at the time because I remember I was getting a salary from the company, and like, you know, that that, you know, weekly check was coming in, and I was like, well, I'm sacrificing this money and I'm going to be a freelance person. And that was a crossroads for me in my career, but thank God it happened, because I said, you know what, once again, like, thank God for my parents. You've always been like, go bigger. Like, I support you. Like, you can go beyond. You know, I've always joked with my dad, I'm going to own a house on the beach in Palm Beach one day. He would laugh and he'd be like, let's do it. Like, let's see you make it happen. It was amazing, because making that decision to kind of get away from what would have been comfortable, the next 2 years brought me to a level of I would have never dreamed, and I probably would have not been able to achieve had I stayed there and stayed in an office. And I was able to buy a home. My wife and I bought a home in Studio City 2 years ago. And just like being there, it was just like such a blessing, and seeing that happen, and just going back and being like, everything kind of landed in place, and all the decisions I made were kind of like from the heart and from the gut. And that seems like it was all supposed to happen the way it did. I would love to see myself in the near future getting more into kind of the entrepreneurial space and to get into tech. Like many other people, I'm always thinking of what is the next product that could change the world. And I'm blessed but cursed with the mind of someone who's kind of like focusing on 3 different things at once. And you know, as far as creatively, like, I really do have a passion for trying to think of products that can maybe make life easier. And I'm really inspired by Airbnb and by Uber, and these companies who are able to take something already existent but utilize it as a tool. And that sort of stuff is really awesome and inspires me. And I have an aspiration to kind of work and think of my own company one day. Like I said, you know, right now, like, the focus is music, and I'm going all in, and it's just such a passion of mine, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing that gives me the feeling right now like that, like finishing a record or stepping on stage, or, you know what I mean, hitting those chords that really strike the feeling with me. But it's a beautiful place to be in, and it's kind of cool because the future is uncertain and it can go in many different directions, and my life has already taken turns differently than I thought it would, but I ended up fine. So I'm kind of ready for what the future throws at me.